Hello, Instagram. I'm Alex Oliver, back with another edition of Project Onward Artists at Home. We've got a really exciting interview for you today. This time with, we know him around the studio as Fern. You may know him better as Fernando Ramirez, one of the first generation of artists at Project Onward. He's been there since the very beginning. So he knows that place better than just about everybody. He's one of the most, his work is some of the most easily recognizable and distinct, and also it is the most commissioned work. He's a very, very popular, very talented artist. So this is a pretty big deal that we get to interview him today and get a little more insight into his background and what motivates him to create this incredible work. So stand by for just a moment while I invite Fern to join me, and we'll get things started.
Hey Fern, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. Let me adjust my volume here real quick. How's everything on your end?
You sound okay. Yeah, good.
Good. How are you this afternoon?
Good. Nice weather out there.
Yes.
Just having a nice day today.
Yeah, it's real nice, and I think we got a lot more rain coming next week, so
Oh,
hope you're enjoying it while you can. But
yeah.
being safe, of course, and social distancing and doing all that stuff. It's a good chance to remind everyone that there are still masks available on the Project Onward Threadless store. So definitely go to projectonward.org and get some masks with some amazing Project Onward designs on them. Very, very stylish and very durable, and will help keep you and everyone else around you safe. Well, Fern, I mentioned at the top of the interview that you are, of course, the most commissioned artist at Project Onward. Your work is some of the most recognizable, and you've been doing it longer than everyone else. You were part of the first generation of artists that helped establish Project Onward. So I guess if it's okay with you, I'd like to just start at the beginning.
Sure.
Just tell me how you became involved with Project Onward, and if you have any memories of what it was like back in the early days, how it might have been a little different, and what it was like kind of seeing it evolve over the years.
Sure. Yeah, it's actually kind of funny how I stumbled upon Project Founder. I was kind of going through a couple of years where I hadn't drawn or painted anything, and I kind of missed the Gallery 37 days downtown. So I remember where the store was, where they sold the artwork. Maybe I, could find something of mine or some old friends of mine's work there. And I went to the store there on Randolph and Michigan, about across from the Cultural Center, and I ran into Rob Lentz and Adam Hines that day. And I sort of just kind of wandered there without any way of getting back. So, stumbled upon them. So if I could get a little help getting home that day. And they said, well, we just started. You still an artist? I go, yeah, sure, yeah. And they invited me over to the studio across the street at the Cultural Center. And some guy came in and immediately wanted something done right away. I got to do a commission that same that day. It was kind of like my application. My interview was I had like a couple hours to complete a little portrait on a woman's head, like Greek style kind of painting. And the guy came to pick it up later that day, and I made $25 that day. I was able to get home easily. And they kept me around after that. That was a long time ago, I remember. And it was weird that because I had drawn or painted for 2 years after I got my disability approved, and just kind of went through a big depression. But that kind of snapped me out of it. I noticed I could still paint, and it was fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think one common thread throughout all these interviews is that art is a very therapeutic thing. I mean, that's no secret. Whatever your medium is, whatever sort of mental illness you might be suffering from, it's really just a real amazing way to kind of help process a lot of that and work through it. And Project Onward, I think, has provided a really excellent outlet for that. What was it like in the beginning? How many artists were there when you first came on board? You mentioned Adam was there, right?
Yeah, Adam, and I remember a few of the guys, few that aren't there anymore. A lot of them actually.
Pretty small.
Yeah, it was about 10 of us, I think, in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it was a real small studio. It was pretty much the break room at the cultural center for the staff, and we kind of took it away from them. And we had a vending machine and a little tiny sink and stuff, but it wasn't like it is, now. So
Yeah.
it was a small. It was okay at first.
Well, it sounds like you and the organization have all come a really long way and have done a lot of amazing work along the way. Let's go back even further and just tell me about how you sort of became interested in making art and what it was like for you starting. I know you were born in Mexico and came to Chicago very young. Is that right?
Yeah, when I was 3, I came, 1980. I was 3 years old, and I started drawing actually pretty young too. I can't remember anything before I started drawing. Okay, I have no memories as the baby or before I started drawing, which was around 5 years old. Can't remember being 3 or 4 years old, but yeah, that's when I started. I had a lot of uncles, especially one who was staying with us, the youngest of my dad's brothers, and he was drawing the Pink Panther, and he told me, hey, can you see if you can draw this? And I drew, a perfectly good circle and shapes and triangles in his nose, and he was very impressed. Walked away for a little while, came back and asked me to keep drawing, and that's how I remember my first starting. Then I realized when I went back to visit Mexico that I had a lot of uncles who were all artists, and my brother was an artist too, but mostly uncles. It kind of runs in the family, I guess.
Excellent. It makes sense that Pink Panther would have been kind of one of your earliest projects because you do have a very sort of illustrative quality, very narrative art, and it's although you do get a lot of work making portraits, not just for people, but for pets as well. The pet portraits and the portrait slams are one of the most exciting kind of signature things that a lot of the artists at Project Onward do, but yours are some of the best. And I want to show off one that we have here. It's been hanging on our wall for a while now, and I admire it every single day. This is our Cocker Spaniel Russell, who unfortunately was put down earlier this year. He's very, very old, even though, as you can see, he kind of had a youthful exuberance about him even up until the end. But Fern painted this, and I absolutely adore it. And I know that I think I have an example of one of your human portraits here. Very close to me. This is my wife, Whitney, who also works at Project Onward. And this one is cool. I don't know if everyone can tell at home, but she's in a spaceship. Just kind of casually, no big deal, hanging out in a spaceship. So again, these are, real people and pets that you give this really incredible kind of, you just really bring them to life and give them this really amazing kind of animated quality. Still very true to life, but just, I don't know, everything's a little brighter and has just a really incredible amount of character that I think is part of the reason why your work is so popular. Is that do you make a conscious effort to do that, or is that just sort of how it comes out on the canvas? What's going through your mind when you're doing portraits specifically?
I just kind of how it comes out. I try to capture one of those like gesture kind of drawings, like a real quick pose, and then work. I just build around it from there, from what I know how people should look like and stuff. But the colors are they just happen. I try to get photorealistic, but I can't. I just seem to get these bright colors out of even the dark colors are kind of bright. So there's no real it just happens on.
Yeah.
I can't. I really would like to do photorealism, but I don't see the point. You want to pull out a large photograph, just
There's, I
get a
mean,
photo of it.
there's no mistaking the subject. It's quite. I mean, if anyone who knows Russell or Whitney, no, I mean, they are instantly recognizable in these pieces. But so I think there is a degree of photorealism to your work, but then there's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but there's just a really fantastic twist on it that gives it this really.
I draw somebody from life. I asked them a lot of questions about where they're from, what they like to do, kind of try to capture that.
Yeah, that really comes
It's
through.
a half hour or an hour to do it. And
Yeah.
the pets too, I don't know what their favorite toy is, or are they outdoor or indoor? And sometimes people just give me a picture and they want me to make up a background. Usually I come up with something, but I have to ask a little bit about what about the person or the animal.
Yeah, you really capture their spirit and their personality as much as you do their actual physical likeness, and it's really pretty special. I like it a lot. Cruising through your Instagram, which is at Fernando Ramirez Fine Art, which is the account you're currently chatting with us from. I would encourage. I mean, there's so much incredible work, including a lot of really great pet portraits, but also some of your really amazing triptychs, which is something that you're very well known for. A lot of landmarks right now. I see the Baha'i Temple here. That's a really incredible piece. And then also some kind of surreal, sort of psychedelic. A lot of kind of, oh God, I don't know. There's almost kind of like some black magic kind of elements to a lot of your work too. Do you know what I mean? I really.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, it's yeah, I was always fascinated by that kind of style. I think a friend called it diabolical or something style. I don't know, but I like the like the the that kind of stuff. Like when I had a portrait of a friend of mine, see a crystal ball and a cat and like a snake. I like to put snakes a lot for some reason in my pieces, and I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm a year of the snake, but I'm not really too fond of snakes. But yeah, a lot of imagery in my pictures. I always try to include lots of stuff. So it's not just one thing to focus on.
Bill pointed out shamanistic. That's a great word. That's definitely a theme throughout your work. Yeah, kind of supernatural, shamanistic, really, and really lends itself to your style very well, because a lot of it just feels like it's kind of from another planet. Your album covers are really amazing too. This Iron Maiden killer that you recreated, and that definitely, man, goes hand in hand with your style. I really love that. You're just your style's so instantly recognizable, but really quite versatile too. I mean, you apply it to so many different themes and subjects. And someone mentioned just a moment ago in the comments to ask you about the cows. I'm not sure what that.
That was a big thing, 1999. After 1999, I did about 7 of those large cows. I worked on those outdoor cows. They were life size. I did 2 individually, and I designed the rest of them. And I had some friends of mine help me out. Some were done at the Delta 37 Outdoors. It's like a big shopping mall now. But we did lots of them there, and yeah, I was featured in the book that came out. And after that, there was like a limited versions of the cows, and I did maybe about 50 of those. Which are more elaborate actually. The smaller ones, I was able to get into more tiny details, which is also what people say I'm known for. But the cows was fun. Made good money that those few years there. A lot of recognition. I was on TV a few times for the cows, and even got invited to this that Disney Quest that opened up because of the cows. A reporter ran into me, one of the famous reporters at the time, and he said, "Hey, Fernando." My friends were impressed. Well-known reporter recognized me.
Well, speaking of being invited to participate in things like that and being recognized for your amazing work, this just happened recently. You were selected for the Insights 4 art exhibit put together by the Ryan Licht Sang Bipolar Foundation. which is a really incredible foundation based here in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, dedicated to raising awareness and understanding and supporting research for early onset bipolar disorder, which obviously I imagine is a cause to you. That's really amazing and such a prestigious honor and something that I think you're going to make a really amazing contribution towards. You just found that news out recently, is that right?
Yeah, well, I didn't know they had entered it. That one featured in the ad for this. That one in the corner of the shaman with the shrunken heads and the sun lightning coming out of your hand, coming out of my hand. That's the one, the one first place, and I didn't even know they had entered it. Thanks to Allie Harwood who did it. And then they told me that I was in one of the top ones to for consideration, and then a few days later she told me I won. And I still check this morning for it, and I'm happy. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, congratulations. The piece that kind of got you the spot is if you do go to Fern's Instagram, it's the very first piece on there. I
never took a picture of it. It's on you guys. You guys have it on the ad on Facebook and Instagram. It's a little one in the corner of me.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Fern. That's really wonderful, and I can't wait to see what kind of work you produce for them. If you want to find out more about the Ryan Licht Sang Foundation, you can go to Ryan Licht Sang. That's LICHTSANG bipolarfoundation.org. Ryan Licht Sang bipolarfoundation.org, and find out about all the great things that they're doing. Fern, tell me about let's get down to kind of like the nuts and bolts of we've talked a bit about like some of the inspiration about your style, but as far as when you're actually kind of sitting down to work on a piece, what is it that you do? What kind of environment do you like to create? Do you listen to music? What kind of materials do you like to use? Just give us a little more insight into your actual artistic process.
First I have to have an image in my head. I try to sketch it out first, but I really got to visualize it in my head first, and then put it on paper. I kind of really need music around. I can do the little bit of the preparation of outlining or something without music, but really get something done and looking, and having fun doing it. I really need music for it. It usually takes me a while to settle in, but once I find something good to listen to, and usually it's jazz music or reggae music gets me going. Have a little cigarette or a soda before I start, and I'll be able to sit for at least about 2-3 hours without, if I'm in the right mood, 2 or 3 hours without stopping and then to start over again. But I like to use acrylic paint mostly and colored pencils. I like Prismacolors, and I usually when I paint I only use the primary colors. I mix my own oranges and greens and purples and stuff. That way I get a nice that's why I get a nice consistency in my pieces. And I think the trick is phthalo blue, which nobody else seems to really use. My favorite blue. The other colors don't matter. The yellow and the red. It doesn't matter really which ones they are. But I'm really picky about that. I really like this phthalo blue. I get really nice purples and greens out of it. I'm usually done with it. If I can even finish a piece in like one sitting even, which I have to sometimes. Which is what I'm known for. That's what I think I got my commissions because of that. I can finish a piece. Always on schedule, and the quality is always really good. I think that because that's my motto. I found in a book one time, and it said an anonymous person said this, but I kind of stand by it. So quality is not an art, not an act; it's a habit, and try to do that with every piece. And my art teacher told me in high school that you're only as good as your last piece. So when I do something, I try to top myself in the previous one. I try not to go backwards and get simple. Like a lot of other artists, eventually do. Like to keep it realistic and colorful and bright.
That's definitely a good thing to do. Are you in kind of your workspace right now at home? Can we
Yeah,
see?
I'm in my room right now. There's a big painting behind me there.
Uh-huh. Wow.
It's,
Can you go in a little closer on that?
yeah, big try. It's kind of big, so it's kind of hard to fit in the
Nice.
screen.
Wow. Describe what we're seeing here.
Like Poseidon, and like a more devilish looking Poseidon with he sent a big squid to attack this ship in the middle, kind of like a triptych, but it's just one porthole scene. A couple of mermaids, one holding a trident there, and some guys at the bottom there are with a big boiling pot. With all the crew members are inside of there, and like they're struggling in pain and all that. So kind of what I got going. That's I was for that last week's show, but I wasn't put on the site. I think because it doesn't look anything like the outsider artist I was supposed to emulate.
Uh,
So
Now, is this a
it's
recent?
pretty big. It's 30. It's pretty big, almost 3 feet by 4 feet.
Yeah. Wow. Did you do this
Here,
one?
let's see if I can get this in the light. There's a Ferris wheel from the Columbia Exposition in Chicago. The commission. I don't know if you can see it too well. It's painting so far.
Fantastic.
So it's also black and white picture. That's also what I'm known for. Is I can take a black and white picture, turn it into color.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. Now, do you find is that kind of a fun challenge for you to kind of I mean, do you have a pretty good idea of what colors you want represented when you get started, or does it just sort of do you just kind of decide along the way?
It's more on the way. And that's another thing about my style. If you notice, a lot of them they have every color involved. If you have a favorite color, you're gonna find it in any one of my paintings. If you have, there's no color missing. So it's like a rainbow of colors in there, even though some of it's scattered about, so it doesn't look, like that. But that's one thing I like to do, include every color somehow. If I have a piece like that, where I have a black and white picture and I turn it into color. And if I have something that doesn't have that color, I have to find some reason to add a color in there. I don't know, I just like to include them all for some reason.
Fantastic. Now, I think that's probably part of the reason why among your most popular work are the Christmas ornaments that you do every year around Christmas. Those are always always amazing, always so colorful. And I know we always have at least one on our tree, and they sell out always, without fail. And you should definitely, if anyone watching is interested in getting on that for this holiday season. I know we're still a ways away from it, but absolutely get in touch with Fern and Project Onward and commission your very own Christmas ornament, because they're very popular and they go quick. But I think that those two pieces you just showed us really are a pretty good representation of how eclectic and diverse your style really can be. I mean, those are so drastically different in theme and really just in style. Did you just start working on these recently, or are those kind of older pieces?
This last week I did this the big one, and sort of a few. I haven't been able to finish this. It's a really complicated black and white picture that I'm working on, but I still got just a few more hours to work on the Ferris wheel. But normally I don't take that long. It's just because I'm not in a studio setting. I kind of need other artists around me working to get motivated. So I'll go over to Bill Douglas's place and we'll draw there, or I'll paint in there sometimes.
Excellent.
But
What kind of art inspires you, Fern? Are you? I mean, clearly, again, you have very illustrative style. Do you watch cartoons? Do you read comics? What is it that you draw your inspiration from, or is it all just kind of these stories and images that you dream up in your head?
kind of just like the pieces are a little bit of everything. Cartoons I used to. As a little kid, I used to like comic books, a few comic books. I really was into Mad magazine and Crack magazine. So I was
Fantastic.
able to get, they do really good realistic caricatures of people. And some guys who draw, some guys pretty, like realistically. So I started drawing off like that, and just the little crazy parts. I got in trouble for it in elementary school though, for drawing, kind of pictures of my teachers and stuff. And yeah, but it was that's kind of what I learned. And I was living with a family once, and they didn't mind posing and for me for drawing figures. So I mean, I could make up a figure without needing a model, kind of. And
Yeah.
they subscribed to Heavy Metal magazine, and that got me going into the kind of warrior women that I do a lot of, and the armor that they have, and, some of the way I pose animals. They're kind of always in a drum kind of heroic kind of pose.
So it sounds like you've always had a bit of a sense of humor too when it comes to making art too, which I think is a really nice quality. And part of why your work is, even though you can tackle some darker themes, there's still a bit of a playfulness to it, which I think is really nice, and it kind of balances the light and the dark really well. What kind of emotions are you kind of trying to convey, do you think, or what is it? What kind of mood are you in when you're feeling most creative?
Uh,
Because I've talked to other artists that they tend to work when they're upset or when they're sad about something or feeling depressed.
I can't do it. I'm sad. I have to be kind of happy to be doing it. Uh, but yes, I really dream up something, and I have to put it down right away before I lose it out of my head. And the subject matter, yeah, it can be a little. I try to. If it depends on the eyes. That's what I do a lot of is expressions when I draw. Just randomly things I draw faces, and I always get like expressions. And I remember a therapist always asking why I always draw people with their mouth open. Because they're always like screaming or yelling or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But but now I kind of put something, give them a reason. They're telling a story. I usually put lots of figures together or one figure with lots of arms or something. But they're always doing something. They're not just standing still. They're always in the middle of floating or doing something.
Now,
I don't
Fern,
like to do it
you're
sitting.
getting a lot of love in the comments here for your warrior women. Some
Yeah.
people, myself included. Is there anything else, any more insight you can give us into that? I mean, they're really, very powerful poses, really kind of amazing scenery and backgrounds behind them, usually some kind of snakes or something incorporated in there, the multiple arms and legs like you mentioned. Tell us a little bit more about the warrior women, where those came from.
Well, when I was 18, I moved in with this family of I guess you call them hippies. And there were three girls, 16, 18, and a 20-year-old. And and they would always like, I got inspired by them. I kind of developed that thing that three women to get three, especially related ones, kind of like a witchcraft kind of thing going on.
Wow.
And they pose for me a lot of times, and usually I always ask them, put in like a heroic kind of pose, and that came from them, from just kind of being surrounded by women my whole life. During my Calgary 7 days, I was known for kind of being escorted by about as many as 8 girls out to dinner or movies, and I would pick up the bill, and I just always just well, my life, I live with my mom now, and just always have had women kind of in my life more than men. I have very few male friends, and that's why I draw very few male figures. If I do, they're usually grotesque, very muscular. Women, I try to make them very beautiful or very powerful looking. You know.
Well, as someone who grew up with some powerful women in my life as well, I can definitely relate to that feeling, and you convey it really well. I do have a question here about hidden cats. Ali wants to know about the hidden cats in your pieces. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I had this cat named Gyro for several years. This fat orange cat. He was a baby when I got him, but after I got him, I would always include him in neighborhood scenes. basically of like house, just a house, or I like put a little orange cat in there somewhere, and usually it was pretty easy to spot. Just a little wasn't doing nothing, but yeah, that was you know to my cat that ran away a few years ago. I got a new cat now, but this guy ran away when he was an outdoor cat, so I don't do it anymore. I don't put him in the pictures anymore.
Oh yeah, here on your
'Cause
Instagram I
it's a
see
different kind of.
there's an actual picture of Gyro the cat was his name.
Yeah, gyro.
Yeah, there's a picture of him
Yeah,
right
it's
here.
based on kind of like a gyroscope, not like the food, a gyro.
Yeah. Wow. Fern, I'd love to know another question that I've asked all the artists that I've had the pleasure of interviewing is just sort of what advice you might have for other neurodiverse artists who maybe don't who aren't as able to find the inspiration or the motivation maybe to express themselves, who have the desire to, but maybe are finding it hard to overcome some of their challenges. What advice would you give to them?
Mm, I would say, I just I tell people, I tell guys that say they can't draw, like that art is just circles and lines, and I show them that how easily it is you can draw something real quick and stuff, and yeah, I don't know I've been in hospitals where we have art class, art therapy, and people just kind of bring me stuff to draw for them. They don't want to seem to draw anything, so but I try to teach them how to draw. There's a simple formula for drawing for good faces that anybody can do, and they look like just a mathematical kind of geometry thing.
Sure.
But I try to tell people that they can draw it. The advice I'd give them is just try to draw the face of how you feel that day and build around it, or take a squiggly line and then build something around that. Uh, I have a hard time getting along with people who are not artists, but because but I actually helped a kid one time. He was trying to blend, and I told him just take two brushes, put one color on one and then another color on the other one, and he was mix them together. And he started blending a nice sky, and ever since then he was that's kind of the way he painted. So I know I've had a few people kind of follow my advice, but I don't know about neural. What do you say? The neural.
Neurodiverse, sure. Just anyone that, I mean, that may be bipolar, autistic, that or might have some other condition that where they find that just sometimes doing simple things can be a little more challenging for them than for other people. But just finding the motivation and the inspiration to make art when they have the talent, they have the ability, but it might just be hard to just really put pen to paper or paint to canvas. And you produce so much amazing work. And I'm sure I know that there's a lot of camaraderie among the artists at Project Onward, and you being part of the first generation of artists there, do you find that you're often kind of offering advice or just maybe helping someone kind of get over a hurdle, helping them through some kind of, artistic block that they might be having on any given day? Are you someone that they can kind of look to for inspiration?
Yeah, 'cause I can change. I can mimic styles. So people ask me what I get asked a lot of help by Ruby and field artists for how to do stuff. Like I do lots of shortcuts to get a certain effect that guys seem to struggle with. So people do look up to me when they at the studio when they need some sort of just a little bit of advice, I guess. But yeah, I get inspired by them as well. Uh, I try. I don't want to copy anybody's thing, but I'll take a little piece of it here and there. But I'll see. That's kind of what inspires me when I come up with an idea, something I see, take a quick mental picture of it, and then combine it with a few other things. Compose a nice little drawing, painting for it. But yeah, well, the guys do come to me for help. and I don't mind helping them. Really nice about it. I don't tell them, I'm busy, leave me alone or anything. But yeah, and I kind of like that because just a little bit of what I've done or said in a piece. That hopefully the artist sells.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like one of your real talents is just kind of making it seem more approachable and more possible and not as daunting as it might be for some people. I mean, like you said, art is just kind of lines and circles, and of course, I know you're being a little modest there because your stuff is clearly much more than that. But it's nice. It's probably nice for some people to hear that sometimes. If they think that they need to make this kind of grand statement, something all you gotta do is just let it flow. Robin wants to know what artists or music have inspired you. What other kind of art, whether it's art, music, any kind of medium, any other artists specifically that inspire you?
Well, growing up during high school, that's when I got introduced kind of Pearl Jam and Led Zeppelin and the classic rock, progressive rock people. And that kind of, especially the Fun Casting was my favorite song for a long time. That was an art project that, kind of draw a picture of our favorite song. And, they kind of, a lot of those mythological kind of themes of their songs kind of, motivate, kind of made me want to draw them. And some of the, like some of the darker songs too, like, by other bands. They did like Black Magic Woman. I did a good painting and the title did that. So, but that kind of music, it wasn't until after high school that I got into jazz, and I kind of discovered that on my own. Nobody recommended that I started listening to jazz or anything. I just, heard of some Charlie. I was watching that jazz with Becky, that Ken Burns, I think it was called, jazz, and kind of got into jazz music that year. And that really got me moving because it's real long with no words sometimes.
Right.
And that got me painting a different kind of way, a little bit. And that kind of music there. Some artists, there's one guy, Tanguy. I like his style. I had to do a painting of our favorite artist, and I did a painting similar to him. His Russian artist. But just those, like those drawings from my earlier days. Mad magazine and heavy metal magazine.
Yeah.
Those kind of, really, I try to make those still. Haven't changed that.
Well, a lot of your stuff, it could be like a punk or metal album cover or psychedelic album cover or something. It's definitely got that vibe. I can see how you would draw inspiration from the music. Robin actually wants to know specifically if you think you could take a song and make it into a picture. I have a feeling you probably could, but is that something you've ever thought about before?
Yeah, any song. I just thought any song. I listen to it a few times. I'll get a few mental pictures. Some people, they say they listen to a song and then they see the music video or something. It's something like they expect. They say, but I always see something when I listen to a song.
Yeah, I imagine something by like Dio or King Crimson or something, or anything where there's kind of wizards or goblins or something going on. You could probably draw some inspiration from that and really recreate it pretty accurately.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about? We have another question. Okay, I'll just scroll up. We talked about cats. Whitney wants to know about your love for dogs. She says it shows in your pet.
You should see me at these pet portrait slams. I love every time I see a good-looking dog with his, bug eyes or tongue hanging out. I don't know. I haven't had dogs since I was a little kid. But that family I live with, they had 3 dogs and 20-something cats. So that's really more of a cat guy. But I love dogs, especially the kind of with the floppy ears or something. Any kind of dog is great. But I love petting dogs. Went to this one in the park one time and the portraits.
Show off our
he didn't want to stay by me. As soon as Whitney walked away, he started yelping, and I wish he had accepted me. I felt like I knew the guy because he was always showing me pictures of him,
Yeah.
telling me stories about what he's done and all this, and there's a few portraits of him. So I felt like I knew the guy. It really hit me hard when I felt like I lost a friend too.
Yeah, no, that's sweet. Thanks, Fern. How about when you're doing portraits of people? What's the feeling like then? Do you usually like to talk to them, or you mentioned you kind of like to learn facts about them and kind of try to convey their personalities. Do you find that people are usually pretty willing to share those things about themselves when you're painting them?
Oh yeah, because the last thing I want to do is sit still for even half an hour or an hour or so. So I try to keep them involved. That's why I try to capture that gesture right away. And use that formula for how far apart eyes are, and where the nose and mouth should be. I try to capture them right away, and then I ask questions about where they're from and how many kids they got, if they look like they might have some children. They love talking about their family and where they've been. Usually notice what they're wearing. I can usually tell kind of a little bit about a person by what they're wearing, and I kind of I usually get a good. I think I realize that sometimes I get really good tips when I have a really good conversation with somebody. They really like that they didn't have to sit still for that long, and I get a more accurate portrait. I think. The only time I tell them not to talk is when if they want to smile, they can smile if they want. But some people, I tell them you don't have to hold that smile the whole time. But I'll let you know when I get to. And they're usually very happy with their pizzas, and they're getting done real fast. Yeah.
Great. We did have a comment here about the pet portraits and a Sun Times article. I don't know about that. Was there a feature in the Sun Times regarding your pet portraits? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the ornaments. They made their holiday gift guide, the top 10 list. Maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I think.
Uh-huh.
And before then, I had about just a few commissions I had to do for them. But that night, I got about 70 orders or something. And I was working all late into the summer that next year, trying to get them all done. And it has kind of slowed down over the years, but I remember that year was crazy. I needed almost in my own room at the studio and an assistant kind of.
Yeah.
But that's when it started. I was a featured the Tribune's holiday gift guide.
Oh, the Tribune. Yeah. Robin just corrected herself here. It was the Tribune. Okay, not the Sun Times. Get with it, Sun Times. Feature him in your holiday gift guide because, as I said, the ornaments, hot commodity every holiday season.
I made them jump in. They were they started off at like $25 before, and then when I started doing them just to little kids with no very few background, went up to 50, and then they went to 100 after that. And
Wow.
that's always good because I get them done in about 6, 7 hours. One ornament takes one day to do. Always fun, and they're fun. I like to draw 3D shapes more than actually on flat surfaces. I really like drawing on bottles or ornaments now. They're really fun.
Fantastic. Was there, again, you've been so prolific and you've got so much well-deserved attention for your work. Is there something like that that really stands out, a special memory that you have of a particularly exciting, feature in a newspaper or, being invited to participate in some kind of event? What are some fond memories you have of things like that?
I have a couple. Remember, I met Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of Britain. They were giving him a 6-foot bench I painted of the Hull House with I forgot the lady's name, portrait of her and Hull House, and they gave it to him at the ceremony at Von Steuben High School. I had to shake his hand and met the guy, and I was featured in the newspaper that day. It was fun there. Another occasion, we did a benches for McDonald's 50th anniversary of their Happy Meal, and I got invited to their party and their offices, like in Oak Brook. We got picked up in a limo, had caviar and sauce, people doing swing dancing and stuff, and even got to take the limo back home, and I got paid for that day. That was a really fun day. And I wish I had a picture. I still have a slide of one of the bench I did, but I don't have a picture of it. But I used to do benches, real big 6-foot benches. That was actually that's how I got recognized back in Elementary 7. It was the last day of the summer program, and one bench hadn't been done. And while everybody was out, say goodbye and writing notes and taking stuff, I was busy that last day painting an ornament that normally takes a week or two. I had to do it in 5 hours, and I did. And the guy loved it, and that's what kept around. He became a teaching assistant for a while. Yeah. So I've known for really how fast I do things.
Yeah, that's so cool. Wow, I didn't realize that you'd been meeting world leaders and eating caviar in limousines. And your work, it sounds like your work has taken you some pretty amazing places. That's so cool. Well, we'll wrap it up here pretty soon, Fern. But first, I've got to know, obviously, the thing that's been on everyone's mind lately. How has the pandemic affected you, and how has it affected your work? Do you find that that's been more difficult to get work done, or do you find that it's kind of inspiring you in a way? Just tell us kind of what's going through your mind, given the current circumstances with the pandemic.
Yeah, I don't like it being home all the time. I go to my friends' house a couple of times a week. Very few places I can visit around here, but I kind of need that routine of waking up, getting ready, and making coffee for people. I don't know, just I miss that setting up the routine, and I can't get. It's hard to get motivated, especially on rainy days or having a lot of. I don't know. I've been able to get some work done, and one way if I do get started on something, I want to kind of almost finish. I get a lot of anxiety, and I try to finish it really, really, really fast, and kind of that tires me out. And if I get back to it, and I don't have that same motivation, that same anxiety for it, to see how it's gonna look finished. So I kind of miss the critiquing when people walk around and say, "Oh, that looks nice," or because it's hard to show them off the phone or something. But I kind of need that live, kind of thing. So it's I've been struggling to get things done. Luckily luckily everything around here is close. I don't have to get out. I don't have to get on a bus or anything to go to the store or anything. And the mom just recently got another car, so she drives me around a lot. I've only been on the bus one time since this whole thing started, so I'm glad about that. But yeah, I'm just trying to keep busy. Especially I'm waking up later. I wake up around 9 now. I used to wake up around 7:30. So I figure I have no place to go today. Maybe stay in bed, but I can't seem to stay up. I sleep past 9. I'm getting weird little dreams that are real weird, and I gotta just wake up and start the day.
Well, I'm sure it's difficult, but I mean, based on your recent work, it looks like you're still able to find some pretty incredible inspiration. And I know you're still working on some commissions as well. And obviously, you've got the Insights 4 art exhibit to look forward to. That's really fantastic. I'm sure you can't wait to get back to the studio. I know you got a lot of love pouring in the comments here. I know they all miss you too. Before we wrap up, I guess I just want to first throw it to our viewers to see if there's any other questions you'd like to ask Fern. Just everybody telling you how much they miss you.
Oh, yeah, I miss everybody.
Lots of likes coming in. Fern, anything else you want to add before we go?
No, thanks. I was looking forward to this. So you guys have been doing them. So
yeah,
nice to be included. I wish I had more to show though, and a better camera on my phone. An old phone, I've had this for like 5 years and still works. That's
all right.
meowing out here.
Yeah. This whole thing was thrown together.
Oh, she ran. She ran away.
Little camera shy, huh? That's all right.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, I want to remind everyone again to see. You can see really high quality images of Fern's work on his Instagram. That's at Fernando Ramirez Fine Art. Obviously on the Project Onward website at projectonward.org and on the Project Onward Instagram. You can buy some of his work. You can go to the Threadless store, buy masks, T-shirts, all kinds of great swag. And look into the Ryan Lichtenstein Bipolar Foundation because Fern's producing some really incredible work for them, and it's all for a really wonderful cause. So thank you again, Fern, for joining us. Stay positive, stay safe. We really look forward to seeing more work from you soon.
All right, cool. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Goodbye. We'll see you next time.